Did you know you might be throwing away perfectly good food and wasting hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars every year? It all comes down to a few misunderstood words printed on the package. Best by, sell by, and use by. We've all been there, right? You grab a carton of yogurt from the fridge, glance at the date, see it was yesterday, and toss it straight into the trash without a second thought. But what if I told you that most of the time, that food was perfectly safe and delicious to eat? Let's break down this massive misconception, because it's costing you money and contributing to a huge global problem. First, let's get one thing straight. With the exception of infant formula, the dates you see on food packaging are not about safety. They're about quality. These dates are the manufacturer's best guess as to when the product will be at its peak freshness, flavor, and texture. It's a suggestion, not a hard and fast rule. Think about the sell-by date. This date is for the retailer, not for you, the consumer. It's a guide for stores to manage their inventory and ensure they're rotating their stock properly. It tells the store when to take an item off the shelf. Food is still perfectly good to eat well after its sell-by date. So if you see a great deal on something that is at or just past its sell-by date, don't be afraid to grab it. You're saving money and preventing food waste. Then there's the best by or best if used by date. This is probably the most common one you'll see. Again, this is all about quality. The manufacturer is saying, we think our product will taste the absolute best before this date. After this date, the food might not be as vibrant in color, or the texture might change slightly. For example, your favorite chips might not be quite as crispy, or your cereal might be a little less crunchy. But are they unsafe to eat? Absolutely not. For many pantry staples, like canned goods, pasta, rice, and dried beans, they can last 4 years past their best by date as long as they restored correctly. The one you need to pay a little more attention to is the use by date. This date is still typically a quality indicator, but it's the manufacturer's last recommended day for peak quality. For some perishable items like fresh meat, deli salads, or milk, it's a good idea to consume them by this date or freeze them for later. But even then, it's not an automatic throw it away trigger. This is where your senses come in. The best tools you have for determining if food is still good are your eyes, nose, and hands. This is the golden rule of food safety. Trust your senses. Look at the food. Does it have mold? Is the color off? Does it look slimy? Give it a sniff. Does it have a sour, rancid, or just plain off smell? If the look and smell pass the test and it's something like bread or cheese, you can often just cut off a small moldy spot and the rest is fine. However, if a soft food like yogurt or a casserole has mold, it's best to toss it as the mold can spread unseen. Let's talk about some specific examples to make this real. Milk, if it's been properly refrigerated, milk is often fine for up to a week past its sell-by date. The sniff test is your best friend here. If it smells sour, it's time to go. If it smells fine, what about eggs? Eggs are champions of longevity. They can be perfectly good for 3 to 5 weeks after you bring them home, which can be well past the date on the carton. A simple trick is the float test. Place an egg in a bowl of water. If it sinks to the bottom, it's fresh. If it stands on one end at the bottom, it's still good to eat, but should be used soon. If it floats to the surface, it's old, and you should probably discard it. The floating happens because as an egg ages, air seeps through the shell, creating a larger air cell, which makes it more buoyant. Canned goods are the superheroes of the pantry. As long as the can isn't dented, bulging, or rusted, the contents can be safe to eat for years, even at the kaji past the best by date. The food inside might lose some of its nutritional value or the texture might soften over time, but it's generally safe. A bulging can is a major red flag, though, that can indicate the presence of bacteria that causes botulism. So if you see a bulging can, throw it out immediately. Even bread is often fine past its date. You might see a spot of mold. For hard bread, you can sometimes cut it away with a generous margin. But for soft sliced bread, mold can spread quickly, so it's safer to throw the loaf out if you see any to extend the life of your bread stored in the freezer. It thaws out perfectly for toast. So why do we have these confusing dates in the first place? It's largely due to a lack of federal regulation. Food dating is inconsistent from state to state and is mostly left up to the manufacturers. They often choose conservative dates to protect their brand's reputation for quality, which inadvertently encourages consumers to throw away good food and buy more. It's a cycle that benefits their bottom line, but hurts our wallets and the environment. The amount of food we waste is staggering. In many developed countries, households are responsible for a massive portion of all food waste. A huge chunk of that is due to confusion over date labels. Imagine the collective impact we could have if we all stopped throwing away food just because of a date on the label. We'd save money, reduce the strain on our landfills, and conserve the resources like water, energy, and labor that went into producing that food. So, here's the action plan. First, when you're shopping, don't avoid items that are close to their date. They're a great bargain. Second, when you're at home, practice the first in, first out method. Organize your fridge and pantry so that older items are at the front and you use them first. Third, and most importantly, before you throw anything away, use your senses. Look, smell, and feel. Your senses are far more reliable than an arbitrary date printed on a package. And remember to store your food properly, keeping your refrigerator at the right temperature, using airtight containers, and utilizing your freezer can dramatically extend the life of your food. Freezing is like a pause button. You can freeze meat, bread, cheese, and even milk right before it's about to turn. By understanding the truth behind food expiration dates, you're not just becoming a smarter consumer. You're becoming part of the solution to the global food waste crisis. ULL have more money in your pocket and the satisfaction of knowing you remaking a positive difference. So next time you question that carton of yogurt, give it the sniff test. You might be surprised. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips on how to save money and live more sustainably. Let me know in the comments what food you've been throwing out that you might save from now on. See you in the next video.